Happy Tuesday.
Hey, happy KOTG Tuesday.
What's going on, everyone?
Oh,
Bill.
man.
What's up?
No, heyo.
Heyo!
Hey,
Yeah, no, I know. Normally that's the cue. That's all. Like,
I thought I did it, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I was still on mute.
I was waiting. I was like, come on, Bill, so the rest of us can talk.
Happy Tuesday,
yeah,
fellas.
that is the cue. What's going on?
oh man, chat's going crazy already. I've already
Snow-
seen people
snow
like
on my lawn.
Hunter
folks
fans
are-
are in here, ready to hear the latest and greatest. LTZ, of course, beat everybody in.
Oh, there's your weekly $1.99 from LTZ.
Hey,
Nice.
Oh,
Thank you, brother. Heyo!
ching, ching,
not
ching.
prepared.
Hey, and we're glad to see Zach's back. He's going to run things a lot smoother than I did last week. So,
Well, now you're on home Wi-Fi too, right? So
yeah, but still, Zach's a lot better than I am.
I could have explained a couple things to you beforehand. But that was my bad.
We went live. That's all that mattered. But yeah, lots of people rolling in, man. It's already jumped up like 20 more people in the last few seconds. So
Yeah, 45 right now is what I see. So.
getting a big crowd in.
awesome. Dude, I think
Somebody's
folks
ready
are
for an
ready
irrigation
spring.
controller.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
But hey, how long till spring, Nate? I think you said it.
Less than a week.
Less than a week till spring.
6 days. It's Monday, right? Monday is officially spring.
Yeah.
How's everybody's weather looking like for spring, though? I heard some days it's getting cold.
It's cold here.
What is it, like
Man.
50? 50, Olee, and you're cold?
It's 30. It's about 38, 36, and the wind's blowing.
Oh man, yeah,
What's
dude.
going on
Wind
there?
cuts.
It's cold.
Yeah.
My forecast is not looking great. I'm a little disappointed. I thought I'd be able to get out there first day of spring, but maybe the following weekend. We'll have to see.
It's so like this time, especially in the Midwest, it's so like hit or miss. You know, like you get like I'm looking at mine. Tomorrow's supposed to be 56. You know, and I'm just like yes, and then 48, and then you look and it's like oh, it's gonna be back down to 13 on Saturday. It's like god dang, you know, it's just like you think you're right there, and it's like okay, maybe soil temps are gonna start climbing. You know, nope, definitely not. So
Yeah, Zach and Shifty, you got some snow up in northern Ohio, so
Yeah.
but yeah, it is what it is. We'll see.
Yeah. Like I was telling you before, I was going to do a soil test. It was real sunny, nice out the whole day, and then it started snowing out of nowhere. Not that I couldn't do the soil test with the dusting, but I just didn't want to mess with it. So
Deal with it, yeah.
It's not as cool.
yeah, exactly. Not as fun either.
That's free nitrogen, man.
All right, let's get this show started, fellas. This is Keep Off the Grass, episode of 108. Let's all raise a glass. 109? My bad, 109. All right.
climbing.
Keep off the grass, fellas.
Grab a glass.
Beer,
Cheers.
protein shake.
Just water.
Yeah, man. So who do we got on tonight? So we got Hunter Industries, irrigation, all that good stuff. I know Brian's talked about you guys before. Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself and Hunter.
Sure. My name is Kevin Battistoni. I am the National Customer Experience Manager for Hunter Industries. Been with the organization a little bit, almost 16 years now. My backstory, though, I mean, I fit with you guys like a glove. I was born into the industry. My family got their start in irrigation on the contracting side in 1928. So I'm fifth generation irrigation contractor. I didn't know when I was riding around with my grandpa when I was a little kid. I was getting my future career lesson. That was my collegiate experience.
That was your inter or whatever the word is. Internship.
Yeah, I was interning. Exactly. And being one of three boys, all 3 years apart, you know, working in family businesses is difficult to say the least. So I was probably 19. We used to get in fist fights, my brother and I, in people's front yards about where we were going to put the sprinkler heads. You know what I mean? It was ugly, and I was his number one guy, right? And
Passion. Okay, I like that. All right.
yeah, well, there's a lot of fire in the Battistoni household. Make no mistake. But yeah, at age 19, I shifted gears and went into distribution where they sell irrigation equipment, lighting, fertilizer, agronomics, all that sort of thing. And it quickly kind of escalated. I mean, I just started pushing the broom in the warehouse, and I was in distribution for 11 years, specializing in landscape lighting, drainage, floating fountains, things of that nature. Slowly ran a store for 2 or 3 years, got into outside sales. And I always had my eye on Hunter because as a customer, I saw how they treated their customers and I enjoyed the products. And then when I was a distributor selling their products to contractors, I saw how they treated their distributor partners. And I think for me, I was thinking about it before we were going live. It was winter of 05. And I'm in my 20s and I go out to visit Hunter for the first time as a customer. And I'm on the tour and everybody's smiling and this place is just like sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows, right? And here's me, I'm going, oh, this is a bunch of shit. They're putting on a show, right? And so I bumped my coworker next to me and I said, who sent out the email saying customers are here to be nice? And my coworker had sold the product for a long time and he called me out on the carpet and he told the tour guide, he goes, hey, Kevin thinks this is all a joke and it's all a put on. And I was so embarrassed when it went down. But net result, you know, at the core of any good company is the people. And that's what's kept me here for almost 16 years. I mean, I don't go to work, I go to fun. You know, my job today spawned out of COVID. I was a sales manager covering 3 states. We couldn't be in front of our clients during COVID. So I got into social media, which I'd never done before. And it turned into a gig. And I literally wrote my own job description last year and sent it to leadership. And they said, yeah, do it. So it is, I go to fun every day. I love the products and the company I represent. And I love grass. So that's why I'm here, fellas.
It's a good
Yeah,
life.
us too.
It's a good life, man.
Yeah.
So do you get to go around to the trade shows and stuff like that?
I do. You know what I focus on really? I mean, you can, I have all my competitors are solid. They make a good product or they wouldn't be in business. Obviously, I'm biased to Hunter and I believe and I know we have a better mousetrap in particular areas, but I look for those long game plays, right? So I try to figure out the problems that my customers don't know they have, and they're not necessarily tied to my products. And I research those areas and then help them adapt those technologies to make sure that they're profitable and they're staying ahead of market conditions. So in our industry, the green industry, technology, we're kind of slow to get on board with it. And I think 2016 is when we started to work with connected devices like Wi-Fi controllers, what we're going to give away tonight, right? And when I was a kid, I sat on a milk crate in front of a dial controller with a Motorola radio waiting for my grandfather to say next, right? And I turned the dial. And in 2016, I'm like, wait a minute. I can be on my couch and know about the electrical integrity and the hydraulic integrity of my system on the other side of the planet real time and use hyperlocal weather to make micro adjustments to make sure we're putting down the right amount of water to keep a healthy root zone. And when that happened, that was a bit of a rebirth for me because selling black plastic is not sexy and doing it for 25 years can get old. But ever since that point, I've just been literally taking, what I love or my family members, primitive industry folk, and upskilling them on this opportunity. And that's why I'm in Columbus now and pretty much traveling the entire first quarter of the year with the seasonality to make sure that everybody's trained up on how to exude professionalism and capitalize on that opportunity.
So I know,
Now, what the question was, did they go to any of the expos? Is that what you said a while ago?
Yeah. I mean, I've been this year.
We've been missing him. He's been at the expo.
Yeah, no, the Equip Expo is a staple for sure. I get a. If you go there this year, you'll see me. I race a trencher with a shovel, and that's kind of my thing. So it's a throwback to my grandfather. Yeah, so ever since I was a little kid, I would hear the legends of my grandfather. In 1961, when they broke off from the family business and started their own, the first job that they sold for irrigation was the John Deere corporate headquarters in Rock Island, Moline. And at the time, whatever trenching equipment they used, the legend I heard since I was a child, I didn't visually see it, was that he was outpacing the trenching equipment with a shovel, right? And it's always been in the back of my head. And I don't know if you guys have seen this product. It's called Geo Ripper. It looks like a chainsaw that you give Leatherface for Christmas, right? It's like big old 40-inch blade on it. And the idea is it's easier than digging. You just kind of stick it in the ground and let it trench your hole for you. And I have a lot of customers that like them and enjoy them. So just trying to create noise around Equip, where in the world of irrigation, Hunter's a big deal. In the world of Equip Expo, we're one of 1,000 vendors. So I was just trying to get some brand recognition going. So I called them up and I said, hey, how about if I race your piece of equipment? And they're like, I think that's crazy, but let's do it. And so, we do a little back forth with the social media stuff. And it was very fruitful. At the end, the trencher won. I had some deep blisters on my hands, but I was able to go 45 feet, 6 inches deep, 5 inches wide in just under 19 minutes in Kentucky clay. So I was happy with that. But yeah, so we do it now. We're going to raise money for cancer research because October's breast cancer.
That is what she said.
You guys can just come have your races over at my house.
I had to hurry up and find it. I'm ready now.
So yeah, all the trade shows I work for sure. And just trying to pick the ones that I can bring the most value to.
Gotcha. Yeah,
We'll see you this year.
Yes, you will.
Expo. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that.
Maybe they'll let me run the chainsaw.
You're welcome to it. You're welcome to it. We just want to keep a safe distance between you and I when we're going. Not for you. I get a little cavalier, so my lines aren't always straight. So
that's a problem.
So hey, I wanted to ask. It seems like obviously customer service can really set a company apart, but now that we have smart devices and like you were saying, the convenience of making changes from your couch, that's something that I look forward to one day when I can finally get irrigation system set up. But I know, Brian, you have MB. Do you have their system too? Like, do you have their app or whatever? How do you like their system that you have?
I actually don't have their controller. I use Ratio, but
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
no, for as far as the sprinkler heads. So what I do is I actually got the sprinkler body that's 40 psi. So some of them are unregulated, right? You hook them up and they'll go with whatever. So I decided with my system, I kind of built it out for the future because we're in a new development. So this is going to keep a consistent spray all the time, right? So each head
Nice.
pushes out 40 psi. So I don't have to worry about the beginning of the line hitting, 120 psi and the end of the line only hitting 10 psi. So each one is 40 psi, and then on each of the head, I have the MP Rotator, like Zach has up on the screen.
Which one? Do you have different ones, Brian, for like the different sizes? Or
Yes.
do you run the same one? No.
Nope. There's like 1,000s. I have an 800, like 3,000. So based on how far you need it to go, so if it needs to spray between 10 and 15 feet, you do this one. If it needs to go from like 5 to 10 feet, you do a different one. So I have them different ones used throughout the yard based on what radius I needed it to. You also have some that go 90 degrees, 45 degrees, 360 degrees. And then you can dial some of them back. I think it's like 270. You can dial it back if you want to. So very customizable. What I love about them is drunk guy. I don't see drunk lawn guy in here. Oh yeah, he is. We get a very, very windy area, and I saw some of my neighbors using the typical regular sprinkler heads, and you just see their water just blow all the way down across the street, down the sidewalk, in the driveway. Nothing was actually getting onto the grass. And so I heard about these that actually shoot out large droplets of water that actually can break through the wind and land on your grass.
That's cool.
So yeah, very, very, very helpful. So
yeah, the MP has been a product that's done very well for us. There's really 3 key elements to the MP when you're looking and speaking of short radius irrigation, one of which you touched on, and that is they hold up. The individual streams hold up much better in wind applications than a traditional spray nozzle, right? Where you see a traditional spray, a little bit of wind distorts it. Beyond that, the other ones are, in the world of irrigation, for the real irrigation nerds, the way we measure the evenness of how the water is applied is called distribution uniformity. But for simple terms, we'll just call it efficiency, right? How evenly are we laying down water on this turf? On average, the MP Rotator is going to improve the evenness of distribution by 30% to a traditional spray nozzle. So just by bending over and changing out a nozzle, not even a shovel, you're improving your application of water by 30%. The other one, and this is the thing that plagues spray nozzles has for 100 years, is they lay down water faster than the ground can absorb it, right? Infiltration rate for soil fluctuates, certainly. But as a general average, we say the ground is not going to absorb water faster than a 1/2 inch per hour. And with this traditional spray, you're laying down water at 1.5 inches to 2 inches per hour. The MP Rotator lays down water at 0.4 of an inch per hour. So we're laying down water at a rate that the ground can absorb it, as well as 30 times more efficient than any other equivalent in its class. And we designed it to hold up better in wind. So those 3 wave tops really button up and round out that MP, but people love the way they look. I don't sell on aesthetics, but everybody wants the dancing nozzles, so that's what we have at the Battistoni house too, Brian. So I feel
yeah, no, they're awesome. Again, and that's another thing that I liked was 0.4 of an inch. So if you get the right controller, you're going to go zone to zone, and you'll get your inch down, but it won't be all at once. It'll allow the ground to absorb it, and then it'll come back on and get up to the level you need to.
And Brian, you're taking it a step further. You're hedging your bet by the spray body that you had mentioned that you put that MP on. Regardless of the inlet pressure, it's going to regulate it down to 40. We designed that head specifically at 40 because through extensive testing, we found that the highest evenness of distribution happens at a nozzle pressure of 40, right? So that head also has a check valve in it. So when your system shuts down without a check valve, all the water that's in the lateral pipe from the valve to the heads, gravity, it's going to go to the lowest head on the zone and it's going to spill out of that head. So you're going to have a nasty puddle in your yard and you're also wasting that water. Whereas those heads you have, the PRS 40s, trap the water in the lateral pipeline as soon as the zone goes off. And then that water is utilized on the next irrigation cycle. So it's also a good conservation tool.
The only negative I have is when I blow them out each winter, it only goes 40 PSI. I can't get, so it'll take an hour or so to run through and blow it all out. Where
longer.
My neighbors are done, in an hour. But hey, I don't care.
Brian, let me ask you, what are you using to winterize? What size compressor?
I think it's a 120 PSI.
Do you know what the CFM rating is?
No, I don't off the top of my head. It's a 20-gallon one, so it'll just sit and run for a while.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When the fellas are coming, like if you hire an irrigator to do it, they probably have a tow behind, and it's not about the pressure. Actually, it's about the CFM, and that's the volume. Because if you think about it, if you've got really high PSI, but you don't have a lot of volume with compressed air, what happens is that air will travel across the top of the pipe, even though there's water still in the pipe, and go right out the nozzle. So that CFM, that heavy volume, will help push it out. One thing that'll help you on your winterizations, before you winterize, go to the end head on every run, that very last head, and just unthread the internals. And by doing that, now when you kick on the compressor, 80% of the water is going to funnel out of that last head on the zone. So it'll shut down the duration of time. It'll reduce that it takes to winterize, and it's less likely to do damage because when you put compressed air into plastic sprinkler heads, not so much sprays, but the rotary ones that throw further, those rotors have plastic gears and they're water lubricated. And when you put compressed air through it, those gears spin 5 times faster, and we remove the lubrication aspect. So if you're not real careful, you're going to smoke those heads. You're going to heat them up. You're going to melt the gears, and you'll know it in the spring because the turret will either not move or it'll just fall off the head.
Okay. Good to know. So a viewer asked if an MP rotator nozzle can fit on a Rainbird body.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, we play friendly with others. We don't recommend it, but, it happens all the time, right? I mean, it's a mix and match scenario. The only flavor of spray heads that have a different thread is Toro. And we actually make an MP rotator that meets the individualness of that Toro thread. But everybody else that's out there making black plastic, the nozzles are universal. So you could walk up to anybody's spray head, unthread that nozzle, and thread on an MP rotator. And one of the things that I didn't mention with that MP, the MP stands for match precipitation rate. So y'all were talking, Brian said, hey, I got some that throw 20 feet. I got some that throw 8 feet. What's super cool is when you adjust that MP rotator, it has a flow throttle inside of it that controls the volume of water. So it doesn't matter if you've got ones that throw 10 feet, 20 or 30, all on the same zone. As long as your system is designed so that every head is touching another head, it's 0.4 of an inch per hour, because every time you adjust it, the flow throttle controls the flow to make sure the application rate is matched. And that's the real magic behind it.
So if let's say in a week or two, the wife and I are going to go out and have a little date night.
Yeah.
If I was to have a conversation with her and try to convince her that getting an irrigation system would save us money in the long run, what are some things that I could say? Do you guys have like studies or testimonials or whatever where people have saved money in like proper irrigation, right? Assuming, anyway. What can I say to my wife?
Yeah, well, all right. So what I would do is I want to deconstruct your case a little before I build it. So what are your watering practices today? And what does that look like? I mean, are you out there dragging the hoses like crazy or what?
Yeah.
No,
see,
so I
I'm
think
gonna say one thing right quick, and I'll shut up. Tell her you can spend more time in the house with her if you're not
Oh,
there you
dragging
go.
water
Yeah,
hose.
there you go.
Now you're
Now
talking.
All right.
Now
All
you're
right.
Or watching kids, right?
See,
Right.
you
You
can be
watch the
throwing
kids.
hose instead of dragging hose.
Yeah.
Holy.
Okay.
You gotta lay the hose in the ground first though before you can do that.
So I have timers, like programmable timers that I put on the spigot. And I make kind of like a DIY above ground system where I got
Sure.
hoses kind of cut to length, and I kind of try to go around the yard and tuck them, and then I got the big fan ones that sit out in the yard. So I kind of make this setup to where really I could just leave it alone, but you know it's sitting on the lawn. And I have to like remove everything when it's time to mow, and then put it all back, and then readjust to make sure I didn't, knock one over and mess up the calibration on it or whatever. So it's kind of like a hassle. It's way better than dragging it across. Like when I was doing that back in the day, I was like, never again, So that was a big inspiration. But yeah, just the idea of having where they're invisible until they pop up. You need it down, and then you have the interface. What is your guys' interface like? So if we were to get your system.
Yeah.
Do you guys have an app, or can you control it from the couch, or how does that work?
Yeah, so we've got two different flavors of Wi-Fi based irrigation controllers. The one, if your system's 54 zones or less, the one that I would push you in the direction of would be our application called HydroWise. HydroWise is the company we acquired in June of 16. They were Australian based. The real key element that we dug about this company, because they're today, just being honest, there's 35 different manufacturers that are making Wi-Fi based controllers, right? And they all feel good because they all allow you to control your sprinkler from your phone, which feels good. The real difference is what it does in terms of doing good, right? So that HydroWise controller, the moment you hook it up to an existing system, you have your arms around the electrical integrity of that system. Because in an irrigation system, you have electricity and you have hydraulics, water movement, right? Nothing can go wrong, electric and water. And that controller actually reads the energy consumption and current draw of every single solenoid valve in the field. And that's what makes a grouping of heads come on. So if for some reason a wire was broken, or there was a short in the wire, or one of those solenoids went bad, the software sends an immediate real-time notification to you, the end user, as well as the contractor that maintains your system, so that we can proactively fix things before they become damaged landscape. Because typically by the time you notice there's a problem, you guys would notice immediately because you're dialed in with your lawns, but the average homeowner, it might take them a little while. The other aspect of that is we make flow meters which hook to the irrigation system, and these flow meters learn the normal water usage of each zone, and then we can set it up so that if there is a overflow or an underflow, it suspends just that zone, puts it in the penalty box, waters everybody else normal, and again sends that real-time notification of, hey, last night at 2:56 Brian, you had an overflow on zone 5. Beyond that, in the world of irrigation, whether you're dragging the hoses at your house and you're trying to build that case with your wife to get the real irrigation system, or you have an underground lawn sprinkler, chances are you're overwatering, because green grasses means happy homeowner or happy customer, right? So irrigation contractors just tend to hedge their bet and set up irrigation cycles that are definitely going to keep everything green, but we're leaving a little bit of meat on the bone, right? We could lean it out a little bit and still keep healthy plant material. And so what this software does, any of you guys on Weather Underground?
Yeah.
Familiar with them? Okay, so Weather Underground's the largest weather network in the world. They're owned by IBM, and there's 400,000 weather stations on the surface area of the globe. And with the HydroWise software, when you put in your address, it has access to all of those weather stations, 40,000 commercial flights a day, and every single cell phone that's got Weather Underground, weather.com, or the Weather Channel. It's all the same parent company, IBM. We're pulling barometric pressure off of every one of those cell phones. So what happens, you put in that location, it will give you forecasted temperature humidity, wind speed, and probability of rain within a 1,500 square foot grid of your home using an algorithm off all those data points. And then it'll give you past tense data in rainfall. And we call these predictive water triggers. So you set it up to say, hey, I want to run Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I know I need 40 minutes on my rotors. I need 10 minutes on my sprays. But right before your system goes to cycle, it checks that weather data against your triggers to make intelligent decisions about when to reel in the watering, when to increase the watering, or whether to time it all together based upon what's come in rainfall. And then we push that content out every weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually to say, hey, you programmed me to do this, but I actually only did this. And the summary of the difference between is water savings, right? And that being stewards of water and knowing that it's a precious natural resource we only have so much of, we want to make sure we're laying down the right amount. And those reasons, that's what gets me out of bed and what has really reinvigorated me. And, anybody will tell you at my company, and that's kind of what I'm doing now nationally, is I'm the Wi-Fi controller evangelist, because if I get close, I'm going to try to convert you. You know what I mean? It's because it makes too much sense. It's all upside and there's no down.
Brian, does your Ratio version have that predictive thing where it'll turn off as well if rain's predicted?
Yeah, there's some other features on there that kind of does the same thing. Like you could put in, I don't want it to turn on if the wind gets this many miles per hour. I don't want it to turn on if I get 0.25 inches of rain, that kind of thing too.
Yeah, Ratio, in all honesty, my other competitors that are full line and make all the equipment like we do, they're a distant third, fourth, fifth, and so on. Ratio makes a solid product. I don't have anything negative to say about it, but when you go through it line item by line item, and I encourage people to do their homework. If they do, they're going to see that I've got the best in class solution today. But Ratio does make a solid product. There's no question. It's not bad at all.
It's interesting you mentioned Weather Underground.
Yeah,
I've been using that app for a while. I think I had to buy it originally at one point.
You did before IBM bought them. When they were independent, they were running lean.
And I bought it because I won like a $10 gift card from work for like an iTunes store, and I'm like, I'm just gonna buy an app or something. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And somebody was like, get Weather Underground, like that's like the best freaking app for weather. And I've always stuck to it ever since. Like, and it will like predict how many inches I get. I knew that was
yeah.
Both.
Do they have their own app on the phone?
It's you better hope Nate's reading that tape measure.
I have to check it out because I use the Weather Channel and I don't really
that's funny you mentioned that. I didn't even know it was like that big.
Yeah, and that's why that's why IBM got their I don't even want to. I'm trying to stay away from any references that'll take us further down that rabbit hole. But no, that's really why IBM scooped them up, because they organically they grew to be the largest weather network on the planet. And then if you're looking at your weather.com app or Weather Channel today, that's all the same data, because it's owned by IBM, and their supercomputer Watson creates all those algorithms. So
I see that logo on the app too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's
now what you were telling me about your controller is, though, like I have currently the Ratio also, and I do so far like it until our conversation the other day is, what if my Wi-Fi goes out?
Yeah, so having a touch screen and having an interface, obviously we don't, if Wi-Fi goes down, the last thing we're worried about is our lawn sprinkler, right? You get worried about the kids and their tablets and everybody's screaming and the gaming consoles don't work. But all that aside, you can operate our controller fully at the controller with or without Wi-Fi. So it's kind of a dealer's choice situation, right? We're doing it from the app, but then we also have a remote that you can snap right on the controller, and we have a handheld remote which you can manually turn things on and off, and then on top of that you can do it all right at the touchscreen. Whereas that's something today where if you lose the application capability with that particular controller model you mentioned, you just got blinking lights in a box. You're going to have to go out and manually bleed some solenoids, get that aspect fixed. It's just the HydroWise product was just built for the contractor with the homeowner in mind, where many of the Wi-Fi based ones today, they just didn't understand the dynamic of the industry. So they just built it straight away, homeowner to yard, and nobody else getting their hand in that cookie jar.
What about if you only have X a number of wires in the ground and you can only have so many zones?
Yeah, so that's another one. I mean, that's kind of the benefit of a full line irrigation company like ourselves, right? So we make a product called Easy Decoder. 2-wire decoder technology is something that's been in irrigation for about 35 years. It started off in Europe. It was a Swedish technology used on golf courses, right? So on a conventional irrigation system, you have what's called a common wire. And that common wire touches one lead on every solenoid in the field, thus being shared in common. And the other wire goes to the other lead on the solenoid, and that's what designates which station it is. So like in Olee's situation, we're having a convo and he said, hey, Kev, I'm out of wires, but I need to add some zones. So what we have is this technology that retrofits into our existing equipment, and it allows you to just take 2 wires off your system and utilize that. And now we can go up to 54 stations, and anywhere we want a zone, we put in a decoder, this little module box. So at the dial, or their app, it's no different. You say run zone 1. What happens on the backside is it sends a data signal across those 2 wires that only the decoder program with that address recognizes. And then that decoder charges the solenoid. So it's a great fix for situations like yours, Olee, where you're like, geez, I don't want to trench in more wire. Is there another way we can get around doing this? And that's what we'll explore in your system. But yeah, it's nice to know that. How many zones you got today? 12. Okay, you got 12.
I only had 13 wires.
Yeah, and so we'll switch your hardware over to like a HydroWise HCC, and now we legitimately can go up to 54 zones just using 2 of those 13 wires.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It is, like I said, it's fun to go to work for this company. I don't go to work, I go to fun. My job's easy, right? There's only 4 companies making black plastic sprinkler heads. And, when you have competitive advantages like that, it's exciting to bring solutions to people.
So are all those decoders or whatever in that little box that you would put outside, that little
You
electrical
bet.
box? That's where they're in. They kind of all feed into that. Okay.
Yeah, it's what we call the valve box, and they're pretty small. I mean, we're talking something probably about yay, and it has 2 wires coming into it from the controller, and then 2 wires going to the solenoid itself. And it's the electronics inside of it are epoxy coated and pretty simplistic. It's got a blinking light on it, right? So if it's running, the light's blinking. If you don't see your sprinkler heads coming on, you go to that location, flip the valve box, and if the light's not blinking, rip it out and replace it. It's pretty simple in terms of troubleshooting.
So if you want to get in-ground irrigation, you've done installs for a long time. I'm sure you've done like a suburb, house in the suburbs where, okay, so like me, I don't have irrigation. I like to get it. What's the process of like accessing your water line, and do you go through the garage? Like, where do you find that access point, and how do you kind of fabricate it to where you get it outside?
You bet. So that's your POC, right? Point of connection.
Yeah.
And the point of connection, residentially speaking, is going to be anywhere after the water meter, right? Because if you're paying for water, if you're not on a well, you're being billed for it. So you can tap in anywhere downstream from the meter for the irrigation system. When you're designing the irrigation system, you're looking at 2 variables: volume of water, which we measure in what's called gallons per minute. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the other variable is PSI. That is the speed that the water is traveling. And those 2 variables determine how many irrigation heads we can run at one given time. And that will determine how many overall zones. So like Olee and I could be neighbors. We could both be sitting on 3 acres. I could have double the water capacity of him and a higher water pressure, and his system might be 30 zones and mine's only 15. Right. And so the heads go where the heads need to go, but how many run at a time are determined by the volume and the PSI. So that's something you do on the front end. A rudimentary way to do that: go to the hose spigot on the outside of your house, pull out your smartphone, get the stopwatch out, get that thing going full pig, open it up, slide that 5-gallon bucket under there and hit start. And when that bucket's full, stop it and do the math and determine that's my volume. That's how many gallons per minute. And then you can just get a little pressure gauge at a hardware store, switch it over to a hose thread, put it on that outside hose spigot, and see what your static water pressure is. So now we know the capacity of volume and we know the pressure of that water. And then once we have those two variables locked in, then we can begin to design the system based around the capacity of the water that you have at your home. The other thing you got to be cognizant of, and it's important, is what we call a backflow preventer, right? The backflow preventers, the codes vary by state. And what the backflow preventer is, in very simple terms, is protection. Once water goes into your irrigation system, we want to prevent that water from ever getting contaminating your potable drinking water supply. And so that backflow prevention by state, some states have RPZ, some are a dual check, some are just a check valve, some are what's called a pressure vacuum breaker, but they all serve the same purpose. They say you're only going one way. And so if somebody has a fire down the street and they crack a fire hydrant, it causes what we call an anti-siphon, which is there's a tremendous demand for water now down the street, and it will literally back suck and pull water out of the pipes in your house. And that backflow prevention device says, not me, you're not taking it out of the sprinkler, because, you know, fertilizers, stuff like that unintentionally could contaminate. And so those devices have to be installed by a licensed plumber. They've got to be tested annually to make sure that they're functioning properly. And then if you're winterizing, that is the single most expensive line item on any irrigation system. And one good cold night will cause that device to fail and need to be replaced. You know, you got backflow most expensive, and then I would say irrigation controller would probably be the second most expensive line item.
If you're paying city water, where you have to pay for sewage,
it depends, right?
You have a separate tap.
It depends on the municipality, right? Where I used to live in the town of Itasca, about 10, 15 miles west of the city of Chicago, they wouldn't allow for a deduct meter, right? So some towns will go, okay, you know, you're paying, and this will blow your mind. I was paying $11 per 1,000 gallons of water. That's what it cost in my neck of the woods. That's on the inbound side coming in. And on the outbound side, the sewer charge, because there was no deduct meter in my town, they're charging $11 per hour or per 1,000 gallons. So I'm paying $22 per 1,000 gallons of water. To give you an idea, I had a postage stamp lot, all MP Rotators, all 40 PSI pressure regulated, all 6-inch pops, and one cycle irrigation at my house is $38. One cycle. So if you're doing that three times a week, times 25, 26 weeks a year, it's very difficult to be able to afford to water your lawn where I live.
Olee, what do you use like a typical month in the summer? 200 and some thousand gallons?
The worst time was, I think, 230,000 gallons, I think. No, 212. 212. But luckily I don't pay sewage on that. I have a separate tap. And
yeah, you got to deduct, right?
Yeah. So I have a tap for the house and then a tap for irrigation.
Olee, what are you paying? Are you billed per 1,000 or how are you getting billed?
I don't know exactly how it is, but I will tell you that it is $9.50 for under 3,500 gallons. So 3,500 gallons, and so 3,500 gallons and down is $9.50. I don't know how my water is very fair. I cannot complain. I'm in a town, town water, not really city, town water. And it's super fair. Like, in other words, if I use 200,000 gallons, it costs me $400.
I have to go look and see what mine is. Like my $400 is what I paid. I think. Oh no, that was electricity. Never mind. I think the highest I've ever gotten was like maybe $360 in a month at my little suburban yard. But I think that's.
But you're probably paying
probably
sewage.
overwater. Yeah,
you're paying sewage at the same time.
Yeah.
So, just comparatively speaking, Olee, I just crunched the numbers real quick. What cost you $9.50 in your neck of the woods cost me $71.50.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's real. So, I love if you're west of the Mississippi, and out west where you don't even own the own watershed on your property, literally the rain that falls on your yard is not yours. Like this, the runoff. Water conservation is a must, right? In the Midwest where I'm at, the primary driver is the cost. But either way, I mean, it's all the more reason to like, why would you waste water? Everybody wants green grass and you deserve green grass. And if anything, COVID taught us is the value and the tranquil effect of green space, right? I mean, relieving anxiety, helping mental health. I mean, if people stuck at home, everybody's reinvesting in their property and making that outdoor living space more enjoyable. And I mean, it's a fact. Green things that are green and lush calm our souls.
So, hey, Kevin, you said earlier that there was some sort of a controller that we're going to be giving away tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. So the flavor that I was just
that?
mentioning, the HydroWise based controllers,
Okay.
we got 5 different types of hardware, all do the same function. So I want to give away 3 of them tonight. And what we'll do is, depending on who wins, we just need to know how many zones they actually have at their house. And then we'll send them the right hardware for their application. But what we're going to do is we're going to sweeten the pot, and we're also going to send them a rain sensor to accompany it. Because although the controller takes in weather data, everybody wants to be the meteorologist because you can be wrong 50% of the time and still make full scale, right? So we're going to send a rain sensor with that. Even though if the water predictions are off and it starts to rain, 1/8 of an inch of precip, and the rain sensor will shut down that system, report that data to the controller and to the software, and it's all working in conjunction with one another. So it just makes it that much more efficient of a watering tool.
Dang, guys, I might have to log out and log in on my dummy accounts to get into this giveaway.
Get these lights up. Get
That's
these
awesome.
lights.
Yep.
So this would be somebody with like that, if you're going to want to do this, it'd be somebody with irrigation now that just has a different system, and this would kind of replace the brain of the irrigation system essentially.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're talking whoever wins it needs a screw gun, a level, and a smartphone, and about 40 minutes of their time, and they're in the game.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So
And if it helps, I'll volunteer myself to walk them through it. We can sweeten the pot even more.
Awesome. Yeah, so anybody that lives in like Seattle and you don't have any type of sprinkler system, don't put your name in the giveaway.
I mean, unless they're planning on getting it installed, I suppose. If you're getting some guys out there to do it, and you want this to be your system, right? I don't know. Somebody who can make use of it.
That's how mine did it. Actually, they were averaging mine during the fall one year, and I watered so much, my bill was not going up. I was wondering what was going on. And I watered I was doing seeding, so I was watering all day throughout my acre, and my bill never went up. And then me and my wife were like, I don't know what's going on. And then about 5 months later, they were like, yeah, we're averaging yours, and you were using way more than that, but they couldn't.
They couldn't adjust yet.
They could tell me, yeah, it was passed. So
that's how it is in the city of Chicago. It's a flat rate because they just don't have meters in place for every parcel. So they flat rate you based on your square footage of your house.
But then when I did it, so then they started doing a meter, and they actually have one where they come and scan it now. But it's this past fall, it was yeah, I could tell that I was on a meter, not average.
Yeah, we have a standing agreement that from July to September, we don't even look at the water bill. It just automatic bill pay, and we don't even open it. It just goes straight to recycling, and
nothing to see.
Don't even allow it to happen.
Hey, in the spirit of recycling, whomever wins the controllers at Hunter Industries, sustainability is not just a placard on the wall. We are about reducing that carbon footprint. So we actually take back controllers and recycle them for free for people. So that's something we offer to our contractors and end users. They can bring it to one of our distributor partners, and we bring it back to the mothership in San Diego and recycle them.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
I got a question.
Well, let's do the wheel.
Yeah, let's get this giveaway going.
Yeah, Brian, or we need to do the wheel.
We actually just hit 50 likes, so that's awesome.
Ew.
Right on.
All right, so to be entered into the 3-controller plus rain detector, you need to type in the word hunter in the live chat, and we'll grab your names out of there. So go ahead and start typing in hunter. And I'll probably be back in like 15 minutes.
Who do we lose?
You see how fast that went?
Oh yeah! Wow.
Jesus. It's amazing. I didn't realize that many people have in-ground irrigation
Yeah.
systems.
Jeez, I feel like I got FOMO now. I didn't really
Oh, I
get
do
one.
need to clarify. Hunter Biden does not count. It's just Hunter.
Yeah, you got it. This is Hunter Industries.
Oh.
Oh man, it's
Jesus.
okay. What were you saying, Olee?
Dang. All right. That's awesome.
Me?
Yeah.
So I have the Hunter I-20s, and I love them. I've been slowly replacing all the Toro, I think they were called T5s, and they stripped out terribly.
Oh, wait. You're going where grandma keeps the cookies, baby. I-20s is top shelf.
All right. The only thing is I need a little more.
You need a little more pop. Yeah.
A little more.
That's something that I'll tell you right now.
He didn't want to say it.
Well, here, I'll just ask you fellas right now.
I just need that other 2 inches. I'll go get the tape measure. I guarantee you that's 2 inches right there.
I'm not gonna comment on that, but I do want to know from all 5 of you, what's your mow height?
I'm trying to stay at 375 this year.
Okay, 375. What else we got?
But I got some sinkage.
I typically do 2.5 in the spring and fall and 3 inches in the summer.
2.5 to 3. Okay. What else?
I'm at 3.5 to 4 in the summer.
3.5 to 4.
Sometimes I try to push it, but I just can't mow often enough.
I get it.
Yeah. I mow right at like 3 inches.
3. Okay.
Whose tape measure?
Is that it? We got one more?
Yeah, we're all about the same. I'm about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
So next question, fellas. What's the frequency of mowing?
Much
2 to
as
3
I
times
can,
a week.
really. 2 to 3.
Listen, the person you really need to have on this podcast is not me. It's my father, Big Lou. All right, because Big Lou's on an acre, and he irrigates so much that he has to mow 3 times a week minimum. And he's got that John Deere zero radius, and it is with his yard. He seeded when my parents moved in 20 some odd years ago because they built new construction, right? And we put in 4-inch rotors. He's mowing at 375. And what happens, you think about a 4-inch pop-up rotor. A 4-inch pop-up rotor, that's measured from from ground level, right, to the top of the sprinkler head. The nozzle housing, the part that omits the water, is about 375, right? So if your head is perfect at grade, perfect, and it pops up, you're going to get a little bit of ring around the collar, right, where that grass close in proximity to the head gets flattened out a bit. What happens over time, heads can settle, but more than that, as you all know, that turf thickens up, right? And what winds up happening is now it's only popping up 2 inches, and that ring around the collar is greater and greater. So you're wasting a boatload of water until all that grass is knocked down to be able to get that nozzle stream out to where it needs to be. We have seen a huge uptick. There's actually 11 states today that require for spray heads, not the rotaries, a 6-inch pop-up height minimum, which makes a ton of sense. So yeah, there's a concerted effort to go 6-inch, because if you're mowing at 3 to 4 inch, you need a 6-inch pop-up if you want to really be efficient with your system. All right, fellas, I see a lot of smirking. What's doing over here? What do you guys got going on?
I'm just laughing at Nate. No, that makes sense though.
So 4 inches that's the only height you guys have. You guys don't
No.
make a 6 right now.
No, we make a 6. Yeah, we make a 6. We make a 12.
Okay.
4 inches just common. Like if you go
4
somewhere-
inches is just common, right? The
Okay.
market kind of
That's the
dictated
typical. Okay.
that this is the most common, but we're steadily seeing an increase towards that 6-inch. Some of it is state regulated, and some of it is just contractors recognizing that this is the better way to do it. But either way, that's the direction we'd like to see the industry go, because again, it's about keeping that turf green, but using the least amount of water necessary to do it.
So do you guys make it 8-inch as well?
We don't make an 8. We make
Okay,
we
so
make a
6 is
6.
the- okay.
We do make a 12-inch pop up as well
Oh.
for both spray heads as and rotaries. Typically, even the big boys, right? So one of the favorite aspects of my job is, I call them the Packers, Miller Park, the Cubs, the Sox, the Cardinals, the Bears, all the most prestigious grass in my territory. And the vast majority of them, even though they're mowing significantly lower than the average homeowner, the vast majority of them have switched over to 6-inch as well. And they like that performance better too.
So is that what you got? Oh, you getting the 6ers, or you just doing 4?
I have 4s, but the goal is to upgrade to the 6s.
All right.
And possibly stainless steel, because stainless steel is like
It's way sexier, right? I mean, if you're looking at that domination line with your neighbor, it looks sexier with that stainless steel riser for sure.
6-inch SS.
That's right.
Let me see if I think I have that one pulled up.
You're on mute. You're muted there, Nady.
You see the drunk lawn guy, he's going to have to tell his wife that 4 inches is common.
So yeah, what is there a scenario that is there a scenario where you would want more than 4 inches?
For sure.
Friday night.
Okay. Yeah.
For real though, like just for like, is it like how to cut? Is it based on that, or like if you're like I don't know.
Well, so also, like what he was saying is, though, height of cut's one, but at the same time, even though it's a 4-inch pop up, where the actual nozzle exit is not at the
4-inch.
top.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Where the
then if
water
you
actually comes
have
out.
over time, you got the rotor will settle. So
Yeah, but
It'll
Olee,
sink
like
a little bit.
you're mowing to 375, so like that's day of. So 2 days
Day
later,
of.
you're
true.
Yeah.
That.
you're back over
Yeah.
4,
And then
4
you-
and a quarter.
And then you look at, if you got to work late, you miss a mow. You got kids that's got stuff in the afternoons, you miss a mow. 6 inches.
Yeah, your
all day
eyes aren't
long.
going to lie to you. For your viewing audience, the litmus test is right after your system runs an irrigation cycle, walk around your yard. And if you can tell where those sprinkler heads are when they're not running, you need to lift the heads. And you absolutely will see an improvement to the efficiency and a reduction in your water bill, because you're not going to have to cycle the zones as long, because the water is actually getting to where we
you're not-
designed it to go.
That
You're
makes
not hitting
sense.
the tips of the grass and diluting
100%.
it. So what I was
Your answer on the 12-inch, sometimes it's just not convenient where you need to put that sprinkler head. You might have to put it in an area where it's got to pop up and go over some ground cover or something to actually get to that area. So we make them where there's actually extensions on that as well. A little bit of an eyesore, because you're going to see something protruding 6 inches out of the ground, but now we have the ability to pop up an additional 6, so you're like 18 inches in the air.
See, those would be like what, for like flower beds and
You bet.
shrubs and stuff. I mean, that
100%.
makes sense.
Is that a
Yeah.
2-stage, or is that buried 12 inches also?
It's buried 12 inches. Yeah, we make it though. We make 2 different flavors. We make one that comes in from the bottom inlet, and then we make a side inlet as well. So you wouldn't have to get your piping down below that 12 inches. You just have to dig the hole narrow and deep so that you can get it to grade, and then you can come in and connect to it from the side at like about a 6-inch depth.
Lord have mercy.
So like I guess I'm thinking like anytime you go out and buy like now a big thing is like tripod sprinklers and stuff, right? Where they sit 2 feet up in the air because they get a bigger range. So if you have like a 4-inch rise versus the 12-inch rise, will that change the square footage they can reach, or no?
It won't change the square footage as much, and the distribution, the efficiency of water parallels. So we test indoor as well as outdoor, and we design. Obviously, we want to make sure that nozzle is versatile enough to be effective if it's 5 inches off the ground or if it's 10 or 12. Right. Putting it on a high riser, something that's a couple of feet in the air, we'd have to run a test on it to see if it decreases the efficiency.
Gotcha. So like I was getting ready to say earlier when I was on mute, but so I like Bill, I don't have in-ground irrigation. I have an above ground with hoses and all that. But what I have is I have the Hunter MP 3000s, and I built it with a spike, and then I have the body on the spike, and then the head in there. So I run 3 of those on a line.
Sure.
And then I have a 25-foot hose in between each head. And then, like I said, they'll hit each other. And so that's what I run. And I think they do a great job and whatnot. But I'm just thinking, like, I don't have to worry about the rise or anything like that because I just put the spike in and I'm already above, and then the pop. So I'm sitting, well above the ground. It's never an issue for me. But
do you
honestly,
have to move that around each week, or does it just stay in place? Do you have a number of those? Do you have multiple hoses for different zones you've created?
Yeah, so I have multiple lines essentially that I have hooked up.
Okay.
And then, so what I'll do is I'll typically like mow, and then I'll go put them out, and then same as you, I have the timers, so I'll have them set up to go off, like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then 2 days later or whatever it is, I'll have them go off again, and then I typically put them away because then probably the next day I'll probably be mowing again. And so I do a lot of putting them out, putting them back in, putting them out, putting them back in. And I also, the one thing I like to do is like I change it though. So like maybe I'll line it up on like the north side of my driveway, spraying towards my property line. Mm-hmm. Then the next time I'll put it out, I'll go down on my property line and spray like towards my driveway.
Yeah, switch it up.
So I do switch it up quite a bit with that aspect.
Come on.
The only negative about that is then your head is spraying the other way every time. Yeah. So there's a lot of times I set it up real quick and I gotta turn it on for a couple minutes. I go and just crank the head and and get it going the right way. But,
you got to readjust. But yeah, that makes sense.
But like I said, I like using I like how you can adjust it. With as far what is it like? I think they're like 270 down to like 90 is what mine is.
So we make within each class there's a 90 to 210. Then there's a 210 to 270, then a full 360. Okay. But we make them in like side strips, corner strips. So you meet all your landscape apps. Question for you.
Yeah.
What are you using to control it off the hose? Just your hand turning the hose on and off?
A little Melnor.
No, so like a timer box.
Okay. I was going to say
I'll hook that up.
We make one of those too. It's basically it's a Bluetooth application on your phone. So you put it right after the hose spigot, hook the hose to it, and you can literally schedule it like a regular irrigation controller. And so it runs.
This is you program it in. So like I'll have like 2 different. I just have the one with like two zones coming off of it, but off each zone I have the 3 heads going down. So then I'll set it up to go off at 5:30 in the morning for 35 minutes or whatever, and then like I said, then it's got like a timer on it, so it just runs its course.
How many square feet do those cover? Because I have the same thing where I'm hooked up to the outside spigot or whatever, and I got 4 hoses coming out to different zones, and then on each zone I have a sprinkler from Melnor. I can't daisy chain those. Yeah, the Minimax. Yeah, so that's like my one point, and that big fan can cover a large area. But if I try to hook up another one to kind of get further back, the back fence line or whatever before you get the backyard, that has lost so much pressure. But with the MP Rotators, because they're all at 40 psi or whatever, do you lose any pressure, Nate, with your third zone ever? I would, unless.
So I know, like when I first set up the system, I tried 4, and I noticed a significant difference of pressure, or like just range with it. Okay. So that's when I backed it off. Or if I have the 3 out there, and like I tried hooking up like another sprinkler to it, and it just the whole system is less. So 3 actually hits the like kind of, because I think I measured like I want to say it was like 25 to 30 foot, and then that's why I went with the MP 3000s.
That's the right
because
one.
I basically crank them all the way open, and so they can basically they're hitting full range. Nice. And that's why I went with the 25 hose in between, and then that gets them the overlap that I want and everything. So
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, that's an interesting. 3 is what I would recommend. I would recommend 3, but that's based off my pressures and everything. Yeah.
With which nozzle size?
That's what he said, the 3000 series. So that's a 30-foot distance. We make one bigger than that too. That'll go 35 foot. Olee, my buddy George from Princess Cut, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. last year we actually did a DIY system at his house because we had that Bluetooth tap timer I was mentioning, but we make a stake specifically for the MP rotator. It's about 18 inches in height, and it has a hose connection right on it.
Oh yeah.
And it has the pressure regulator and the check valve built into it. So you just thread the MP right on top. And that was something we were kind of showcasing. But, head to head for temp irrigation, for the takeaway for your audience, no irrigation head was ever designed to run by itself, right? And if you do that and you just run one from an aerial view, it's going to kind of look like crop circles. Because when you look at how the water falls, if the sprinkler head is on this side, the water is going to be heavier in close and less further out. It's not visually, you're actually throwing more water further out, but it has greater surface area to cover. So the idea is what we're searching for in irrigation is a perfect triangle from the head out, and then having another head equal distance throwing at it. When you have two nice triangles, now you're getting an even blanketing of water. And that's how you're getting, the more you can get even, the more even the distribution is. So head-to-head coverage laid out in either a triangular or rectangular pattern is industry standard. So for all the DIY community, that's what you want to do. So even if you're dragging the hoses, that's the most efficient way to drag the hoses.
You're talking about having them overlap a certain amount?
Yeah. I mean, if you're windy and you're in a windy zone, the more overlap, the better. But at bare minimum, head to head, meaning every sprinkler head is getting hit by an opposing sprinkler head. Okay. And that's where if you single roll them, right, and you just got 3 heads throwing this way and you don't pick those up eventually and move them this way to throw back, you're going to see the stress in the turf. Because at the end of the day, irrigation is a supplement for rain, not a substitute, except for at Olee's house.
So what I'm doing with that technique, you actually say that that's good, like to change up the pattern and do what I'm doing. Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, you've got it paced out. You got a good philosophy. You're using a nozzle that can throw 20 to 30 feet, and you have a 25-foot hose connection between the two. So you already have your string, so you don't exceed what it's capable of. So you're good to go.
Nice, cool.
I'll have to check the measurements on my lawn because that's a cool idea. I might have to look into that, see if I can get some hitting the different angles to try that instead of what I'm doing. Give it a shot anyway. At least buy a couple hoses and test it just to see. So, all right, give that a shot.
And I when I did everything off of Amazon. I mean, I bought the rotators off Amazon, the bodies off Amazon, the spikes, even the hoses in between. The only thing I couldn't find, I think they were sold out, was like you need like a little 1-inch, or you can do whatever size you want, but a little spacer that's I think dual threaded to go into the spike and into the body. That was the only thing I had to
hose the pipe thread.
Yeah, that was the only thing I had to. I just ran down to like Menards and bought a couple of them. They're like 27 cents or something, But for that, I mean, it's a good. And actually, crazy enough, like when I post reels or I'll post a video or whatever, by far that's the thing I get the most questions about. Like, how'd you build this? Where like, what is this or what are these? And a lot of people have a lot of questions about my above ground irrigation system. And
I'll be video showing them about it, man.
Well, I mean, I'll be the first one to admit that. I mean, I 100% copied it off of Ryan Knorr. He did a video several years back explaining what he was using, how he did it, and everything. And I mean, that's literally what I use as my inspiration. So, I mean, I'm not taking any credit whatsoever. I mean, he was the one that put out a video. I looked what he did. And then I just looked it up myself and did it. But yeah, very, very simple. I mean, I'm not a mechanic whatsoever. And it took me, minutes to, I mean, it's very, very easy to, put the system together. If you're like me and you just don't want to bite the bullet of doing a full in-ground irrigation system.
No, I get it. If for any of your viewing audience, if they just go to Princess Cut Lawn Care's YouTube channel, he's got a 10-minute video that literally explains with me step by step all the steps, all the things you want to do to make sure that you're doing your above ground as simplistically and efficiently as possible.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, the wheel is done, but
let's give away some controllers.
Just give a quick shout out for the next week. We kind of put it out there, but next week we are allowing one of our viewers to join us on the show. You guys can jump on here, cameras and microphones, and talk about all these innuendos that keep popping up as we talk. Join us for that. Type in KOTG in the chat. Some of you guys have already. Don't do it again. But if you missed the message, type in KOTG in the chat, and I'll grab those real quick. But
and you could be the first guest after spring, since next week it'll officially be springtime.
That's what we're going to be talking about, right?
And what are we going to start back up next week? KOTG Law of the Week.
Law of the Week, baby.
Oh.
So whoever's our guest can help us announce it, help us talk about it, and all that.
Yeah, so those of you who are already out there cutting the grass a little bit, I don't know, lay some stripes this weekend and tag us. KOTG Lawn of the Week. We're bringing it back for spring.
So.
All right, just grabbing these other names real quick. All right, so we had 47 people that have irrigation systems that wanted to jump in and get one of these cool Hunter
Right on.
controllers. So we will shuffle it 3 times. Oh, you know what? I forgot I had to do sound. Where's my sound at? There it is.
Some fresh beats.
Oh, I had it. Okay. All right, so shuffle 1, 2, 3.
You got music or?
I do.
Okay.
All right, you guys ready? Here we go.
Let's go.
Put your hands up.
Oh, man. This is a long wheel. Hey-o.
Just kept going and going, huh? Alex is our first winner. How are we doing this? We having them contact us and get it to Hunter, or they want to message you, Kevin?
You know what? Whatever mannerism is most simplistic, I just need a name, a ship to address, and then perhaps a quick just back forth to find out how many zones they currently have, so we get them the appropriate model.
I just go through us.
Yeah, have a message Instagram or us on Instagram.
However I'm on Facebook's probably where I troll around the most, so they could DM me on there. It's just Kevin Battistoni, which is BATTISTONI, and I'll know that individual. If they're on Facebook, I can DM them too, or I can give you my email.
What about
just shoot Kevin
you on
an email.
Instagram?
I am on Instagram. Let's see what the Instagram handle is here.
Because I think a lot of our listeners have Instagram.
Most of my Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, I'm same thing on Instagram. It's Kevin space Battistoni, BATTISTONI.
All right, so reach out to him. And if maybe you pick the wrong Kevin, then you can message us on KOTG and we'll make sure he gets it.
Yeah, just send me your ship to address and how many zones your existing controller is today, and then I'll tighten you up.
All right. All right, so here is for controller number 2.
Put your hands up.
Good job.
No way.
Oh! Hey.
He deserves it.
Our number 1 guy every day, every week.
Yeah. He wins a lot, but yeah, he deserves it.
That was close, too.
And that music, man, I done had to turn my hat around backwards.
Yeah,
Winner, chicken dinner.
That's good stuff, man.
When it said "put your hands up," I thought Brian was actually saying that.
Put your hands up. All right, so remove him. All right, here goes for the last controller, number 3.
Hey, there's Alex. All right.
Put your hands up.
And that wheel's dirty, man.
Focus on home there.
That is a dramatic wheel spin, Brian.
You ain't
Yeah,
lying.
that thing,
right?
that was like slow motion.
I love it. The suspense. I love
Everybody kept wanting to stop it.
Congratulations.
it. Right on.
I thought 4 people didn't want it, and it just kept on creeping.
Right? They wanted to reach out, grab it, and stop it. So.
Stop.
All right, so yeah, just reach out to Kevin directly on either Facebook or Instagram, and
Yeah, if you have trouble with my last name or can't get a hold of me, just get a hold of one of the fellas here. Guys, just email me the
or
information.
rewatch the episode tomorrow and write his
Yeah,
name
there you
down,
go.
You know?
It's a nice short Irish name. It's easy to spell.
I do have to say, I think this was probably the first giveaway that Golf Course Lawn actually entered into. So
Must
he
have been
probably-
something worth winning.
probably really hurt him when he saw LTZ get it.
Oh boy.
All right, so I'm gonna do another share of our guests.
Yeah, my
for
pleasure.
next
Thanks,
week.
Lawn Freedom.
All right.
Ooh.
Oh, luck of the Irish. Look out.
Yes, it's almost St. Patty's Day, so
There it is.
there's our KOTG St. Patty's Day logo. We had 8 people want to join us next week, so we'll shuffle that 3 times as well. And let's see who's going to join us next week.
Let's see this music.
Ooh, this is heavy.
$10 just made him win.
Hey, you just bought it away.
You just
Oh,
bought a
man.
ticket.
Right on.
Hey, there
By the
you
time
go.
we got some Iowa folk in here.
Dude,
Yeah.
you got to create a real moment to that song. Just, I love it.
Bill, you were rocking out to that.
That's
I wish I had
awesome.
you. I wish I had you full screen.
That's some heavy lawn mowing music.
So yeah.
And no, his $9.99 didn't get him the ticket into next week. That was just by luck. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Thank
got him a GIE next year.
I don't think has Jason been on before. I don't think he
No,
has.
but
I don't
we
think
got him
so.
a GIE.
All right,
Okay.
that'd be fun to
All
have
right,
him
this
on
will be
next
awesome.
Fun fact: Jason has been to my house.
week. Ooh,
So yeah,
Well,
he's got the
that
dirt.
sounds a little personal.
uh,
He can tell us
Pulled
how
up,
the lawn looks up close and personal. Was he there in the summertime or the winter time?
it was fall. Like I don't know if it was 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. No,
Yeah.
it was passing through the
Still
area.
in stripes.
So, yeah,
Nice.
so he's passing through the area. So stop by.
Awesome. Well, Kevin, as you see, most of the live chat people are giving you shouts out. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
this
no,
week
thanks
and talking
everyone.
about it, so.
Guys, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm passionate about the industry like y'all, and if I can add value in any way, that's what I'm put on the planet to do. So, very grateful for the time.
Before we go, we always ask our guests
Oh, yeah.
what their lawns look like. So, Kevin, tell us, do you have irrigation? Do you have a nice lawn, a shitty
Yeah.
lawn?
So, truth be told, after my 3-year COVID divorce, I now live in a townhome. It does have irrigation, but I got to tell you, I'm a bit of a control freak, and not being in charge of the irrigation cycles there is, I've got the ninja suit ready. I'm ready to break into that thing because there are some low hanging fruit opportunities to make it work a little nicer.
Before, when you had a lawn, like, did you rotary mow, reel mow? What kind of grass do you have?
I couldn't tell you. It was green. So this is the thing about a hoser, right? I surround and drown. I don't know crop coefficients. I don't know any of that stuff. But if application rates, distribution uniformity, that's my wheelhouse. I don't even know what type of lawn it was, to be honest with you.
It's probably Kentucky bluegrass up that way.
I gotta imagine. I mean, I had somebody else laying down 4 applications a year. One of the companies that flags the things in the in the mailbox. It's time for me, you know, and I travel quite a bit. And I had somebody, I loved to mow the lawn. That's how I made a living as a kid from 12 years old till I started detailing cars in high school. It's therapeutic. You know, it's even like I took vacation. I got on my old man's zero radius, had a few coldies. I mowed his lawn. I mowed the neighbors after that. I'm like, I get it now. You know what I mean? I'm like, I get it. This is really cool. But yeah, I just didn't, it was easier to just pay somebody else to do it just from a time stance. But, you know,
that's why we don't get a pet. You know what I mean? Like if it's something where your lifestyle doesn't make it where you can actually enjoy it and it's worth your time, you know, so you know you're going to neglect it anyway, you know, go somewhere where it's not really something to worry about. Like I'd love a dog, but shit, I don't want to have to fucking take care of it.
Yeah. Between my job and chasing my 4.5-year-old daughter around, I got my hands full.
Yeah. 3 kids. I'm like, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's enough.
It just becomes another kid.
One more thing, man. Then you get like
Just
kennel
another
it when you're
kid.
going on vacation. Yeah.
And like a 3-year-old in the cereal aisle, they need attention. You know what I mean? It's a lot.
Yep. Nice.
And you get one of those big dogs, they'll mess up your lawn too. So win-win.
That's why you get a wiener dog.
A cute little wiener dog that just kind of like prances through your grass.
Yeah.
Is he getting bigger now? Is he? You know, how big is that thing?
He's getting longer. He ain't very tall.
All right.
All right, guys. Well,
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks
Fellas,
again.
appreciate your time and the opportunity. Pleasure meeting and speaking with you all and your audience as well. Have a great night.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Stick around for a little bit, Kevin.
You bet. All right.
Thank you, live
Tune in
chat.
next
Thank
week
you,
with
everybody, for
Jason.
joining us. Thank
We'll
you.
see you next week.
Bring on spring.
Yep.